Hi guys, we're back. Yeah, so I just had to go grab myself a sandwich. I have a serious addiction to these sandwiches. You guys, you have no idea. It is a problem. But anyway, we are back now. I might eat a little bit during this. I still have my sandwich. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started on another reference. So just like before, we're going to put in another layer. Hi guys, I see a couple people are popping in. Just like before, we're going to add in a new layer and basically put in the reference in here, or the sketch at least. And this time we're actually going to be drawing Tsutanai, another one of the characters that, are actually the one right here that we have here. So this is Tsutanai. She's actually from the same pack as Iryoku, who we just drew over here. Let me zoom in so we can see him better. This is the one we did last time. And, so Iryoku here has, he's definitely got some different, he's got a very different design and structure than Tsutanai, and I thought it would be a good contrast because, Iryoku is both, he's an antagonistic character. He's got a lot of, design aspects that go into that, so he's got, like, the very angular sort of build, whereas, Tsutanai is, one of the good guys. And so her build is going to be different. Also, there's the obvious difference here between female and male, because Iryoku is male, Tsutanai is female. So I'll show you guys how I distinguish some of that just through the way I draw the fur, the way I draw the proportions and stuff. I'll show you guys some of that. So we're going to be drawing her in basically the same position as we drew Iryoku, although the expression and such is going to be different, because it makes more sense for her to have not like this evilish expression, and but for a reference, I found it's good to put characters maybe in a similar position, especially when you're trying to do contrast, and this side view tends to work out pretty well. Yeah, this one just started. I figured it would make more sense to break off and do each one in a separate stream, so hopefully everybody will make their way back here. So let's go ahead and start sketching in. I'm going to draw her head. Oop, I'm still on the color we were using with Iryoku. So I'm actually going to make this a little bit bigger. That looks good to me. Make this a little bit bigger, the brush, so that when I go to block in the background like we have here, I can be a little bit less precise. So one of the biggest differences we're going to see right off the bat is the difference in the nose. The way I draw a female wolf's muzzle is that I draw it a little bit more, it's a little bit less pronounced. So like Iryoku has a very pronounced chin, and for most male wolves I will draw a very pronounced chin unless they're really young, etc. But for Tsutanai, she's going to have much less of a pronounced chin. She's going to have an overall smoother frame, and we'll go ahead, we'll put in her body here, and draw this in. It might need to kind of shift the positioning a little bit. Draw her back, her abdomen area. Kind of sketch this in. And then we'll put in her legs. That is the bottom of the thing, right? We're going to need to scoot this up. Oh, no, I just drew her really huge. Okay. Okay, that works. We can change the size as we need to. The level of detail really won't change based off the size. Not for this, at least, so larger is honestly probably better. We're going to draw her legs. She's going to have much slenderer legs as a general rule. That's one way that I distinguish female wolves from male, is they generally have a little bit of skinnier proportions. They're a little bit smaller too, but you can't see that, at least right here. You can see that comes into play when you draw multiple characters in a scene. And the paws are a little bit smaller. Now, this is the general rule. There are exceptions. Yeah, it's nice to have streams on smaller channels too, where there's not just an absolute influx of comments. It's even started to be a problem on my gaming channel to do the streams because there's so many people I get inundated. And aw, thank you, Maya. Okay, we'll draw in her other front leg too, but this is a general rule. You could, of course, have a very bulky female wolf who's very strong, but it's just the same sort of reason that why, for humans, you usually won't see, like, you're usually not going to find a girl who's like the stereotypical bodybuilder. It's just not quite the way the physiology works. So Tsutanai also has a little bit smaller, rounder ears, perhaps, as well. And her tail is a little bit different than Iryoku's. We'll see that more when we flesh it out. So let's come this way. Aw, thank you guys. I'm glad you enjoyed my voice. I sure do talk a lot, so I should hope you enjoy it. Otherwise, this could not work out so well. But let's see. I think that is about it. She definitely takes up more of the page than Iryoku does. But honestly, that's just, that's not really important for reference. It's just about getting the picture out. In fact, we could, though, I probably will shrink her down just a tiny bit, so she's not quite so huge. She also seems a little bit long. We might move her proportions around a little bit. But basically the position is out on paper, and you can see it's essentially the same as how we drew Iryoku. So let's also turn down the opacity in this, so that we can kind of see what we're doing a little bit better. And I'll go ahead and put our line art layer in. So let's come over here and start working. Again, I always start with the face. I just find it a lot easier. That's really, really thick brush. Hi, Big Claws. All right, let's see. And for Tsutanai, her nose is not going to be nearly as sharp looking as Iryoku's is. So we'll come in like this. Bum bum bum. Here we go. Erase some of this, try and make it look smooth. And, aw, thank you! Thank you, Black Wolf. Alright, let's see. Ooh, what? No. Oh, that... What? I don't even know what I just did. Let's not do that, though. That's... Photoshop comes with a lot of, tools for image editing as well. I don't really know what most of them do, and I don't normally use them in drawing. I mostly use this for drawing. Like the pen tool or the eraser. Does that look like a good size nose? I think so. Yeah, I think that looks like a pretty good size nose for Tsutanai. So, when we come up to, you also notice, like, with Iryoku, we have, oops, did not mean to do that, we have a very pronounced, I believe this area is called the stop, formally, forehead, nose, whatever. This part of the face is very pronounced. With Tsutanai, it's going to be a lot less, it's going to be more gradual. Her whole face is going to kind of be a little bit more gradual. The slope is a lot different. It's going to be a much smoother slope. And that helps kind of emphasize, usually when I draw female wolves, I make them a little bit smoother overall. So like the males tend to have a little bit more of a, what is the word? What am I looking for? When you look at this, you can see they're very defined. They're almost sort of blocky. You could almost draw a bunch of squares over this. You could almost draw, like, his feet are almost square, his muzzle's almost square, his head is almost another square. You could see, like, a lot of square areas. With the female, it's more circular, sort of a little bit smoother and a little bit softer. That just helps bring some differentiation between the characters. And like I said, I'm not very good at all this character design stuff, but this is just what I've found and what I try to do. So Tsutanai is going to have a lot less of a harsh expression. Iryoku has a very sneaky, cunning sort of grin. Yeah, it's just, even if you look at typical hands in humans, between male and female, you can see a lot more of the details in them. You can see sometimes more of the bone, you can see sometimes the tendons more. Not always, again, this is a general rule, there's always exceptions, but it's just a generalization sort of thing. So let's see. So she's going to have a little bit more of an actual smile. It's not going to extend quite so far back as Iryoku's. I'm going to maybe give her a little bit more of a neutral expression, actually. And she's going to have, instead of the teeth showing, she's just going to have this black area where the lip gets a little bit thicker, because you can see that a lot of the time in dogs and wolves and such. And let's come over. This is Tsutanai. This is another character who you meet in episode 1. She's actually from the same pack as Iryoku. So let me zoom out so you can see a little bit more. I can already see things I need to fix, dang it. But if we look at, you can definitely see he has a much he has this sneaky little grin. She's just got more of a neutral expression. I'm actually going to, let me zoom in a little further, I'm actually going to slope this inward a little bit more and give her muzzle slightly more of a shorter and more pointed look to it. Yurioku's is very blocky. Tsunai's is going to be a little bit triangular, but not quite in the same way. It's going to curve back a little bit more. It's a little bit smaller, and it's more... almost more pup-like, I want to say. The other thing, too, is comparatively, Tsutanai is very young. She's a lot younger than Yurioku. Yurioku's probably adult to middle-aged. Tsutanai is just basically coming from young adulthood into adulthood. So she's got a lot younger of a face as it is anyway, and I'm actually redrawing her muzzle currently. I think I'm using thicker lines too, that's gonna bother me. She's actually got, excuse me. Hello Irwin, welcome back. But I'm actually gonna kind of bring her muzzle up a little bit more. I'm redrawing this line. And the reason I'm redrawing it is because I want to get a little bit of that slope starting in the muzzle area. We're drawing your character, Erwin. Let's see. We're gonna... Erwin is actually our voice actor for Tsutanai. So, let's see. But we kind of want to bring the slope of the muzzle into the slope of the forehead more. So you can see it's a little bit softer there. And let's see. Yeah, that looks good to me. The other thing we're going to do, I think I'm actually going to move this up a little bit and make this area just a little smaller, just a little bit more slender. I'll also probably rotate it just ever so slightly to help it blend a little bit better with what we've got. There we go. We'll just make it a little bit more slender than Iryoku's, because that helps kind of show, too, she's got a little bit more slender proportions, whereas the males tend to be a little bit more bulked up. She also, the main difference here is that her chin hardly bulges down at all like that. It's a little bit, maybe, but it's much more of just a smooth transition. It's kind of more circular. It doesn't dip down as low. If we go back to Iryoku, I'm going to use Iryoku's reference as a lot of contrast. You can very clearly see on his chin it comes down. It's almost more triangular. Tsunai's is much more just smooth, a little bit more rounded. It does need to come down a little further than this, but it's much more rounded as a whole. There's not much of a triangular... It's more like... you can more imagine a circle being drawn there than anything else. Yeah, hey, welcome back! We are indeed back. We'll be here for a little bit longer. Alright, here we go. And, welcome, Egg. Alright, let's see. Here we go. Yeah, all the moderators here are team members from Team Raiden. So, let's see. Now, when it comes to this, I'll go ahead and draw in her eye. Now, we're going to do some different things with her eyes here than we did with Iryoku. I still can't go quite the right angle, dang it. We'll do more of something like this. So you can see the angle of the eye is a little different as well. Iryoku's comes more like this. Tsunai's is more back a little bit. The other thing we're going to do is kind of round out some of these edges a little bit more. That gives more of a younger and also more feminine look. And if there's not a lot of sharp angles. Also, larger eyes tend to make a character look younger, and Tsunai is, like I said, a pretty young character. She's not a pup, but she's not that much older either. She's not an older adult. Her eyebrow is also going to be fairly thin. I'm really not putting much bulk into it at all. It's mostly just a line, whereas Iryoku's, it's still just a line, but we kind of thickened it slightly. Yeah, we actually talked about Balto a little bit last stream. Balto was a big influence into me getting started in animation. I really loved that show as a kid, and I really admire the animation to this day. Story's not historically accurate, I must put that disclaimer out there, but it's still a great movie. So let's also, I'll draw her, I'm going to draw her basically looking the same way as Iryoku, but she's going to have a lot bigger eyes, her pupil's going to be larger, and it's going to be less of a slit than Iryoku's. You can see Iryoku's is sort of compressed, it's also generally smaller because it matches his expression better, but Tsutanai has more of a neutral, almost happy, friendly expression. So she's going to have a lot larger of an eye, and it's going to be much less compressed. The compression we do with in making it more of a slit for Iryoku's is not so much to say that something happened to his eye, but it helps kind of add to the look of his character. Yeah, Erwin actually does voice Tsutanai. Let me show you. This is the current reference we have. This is a more recent ref, but I still want to get a better one done. But this is how Tsutanai basically looks, and that's the character Erwin voices. Just let me get a bite to eat. I have a serious addiction to these sandwiches, you guys. It's not even funny. Yeah, I've discovered recently, I've never been much of a sandwich person, but I discovered recently that you can take a hamburger bun and put roast beef and cheese on it and stick it in the microwave, and it actually tastes really good. I've never been much of a sandwich person, but holy cow, guys, I love these sandwiches. And they're so easy, they take like 2 minutes to make. It's so convenient for people like me who are constantly working on their computers. But anyway, yeah, they kind of do in some ways. They have a sort of similar, softer feel. You could probably go look at the different characters in The Lion King, too, because they did the characterization with them really, really well. They made it so that you can tell they really distinguish the characters well. I mean, distinguished with lions is a little easier because the males have manes, the females don't. But they still did a really good job with adding more of a feminine versus masculine appearance to things. Hello, Kylie. If you do that, Golden, let me know. I would love to see it. I'm gonna move this cheek fluff that I just did here down a little bit and probably redraw that top one, but you can already see coming to play some of what I talked about last time, how generally the fluff that I draw for the females has, it's got more volume to it. Whereas, I'll show you Iryoku in just a second once I get this done. Sort of. Here. And you guys can't hear my music, right? Let me see. So, if we look at the fluff here, which I still may redraw, you can see it's got a lot of bulk to it. Whereas Iryoku's is very thin, it's very spiky. That helps distinguish between masculine and feminine as well. Okay, how do I do voice actors? Do you mean how do we do the voice acting, or how do I choose voice actors? Actually, all of our voice actors are connected to the group in some ways. It's, honestly, Raiden's Quest group is kind of a giant spiderweb because it started with several people that I knew who knew people and such not. And so a lot of the voice actors are either friends of mine or friends of mine and such not. It's people that I knew or people that knew people who knew me that kind of got pulled into the project. We haven't done open auditions at this point just because of concerns with sound quality. It's very, very hard to get a good sound quality, and a lot of the time you have to set up a lot of specialized equipment. So, okay, good. I was a little worried you guys could hear my music, but that's good. When it comes to that, it would basically come down to either asking everybody to get that level of equipment and take that time and invest that money into doing it, or it would end up with bad sound quality. Moderators on this channel are people who are directly involved with the project, so it's not necessarily an open position, sorry. Will the legendary, magnificent, graceful, and swift Kugels be in Raiden's Quest? That's an excellent question. You guys just might have to keep your eyes open. I will say this, for those of you guys who know me from the J-Place channel, you'll want to watch extra closely And keep your eyes peeled, because you guys might notice some things that are pretty darn familiar. Alright, let's see. So yeah, just keep your eyes out. You'll have to see. Let's see. I can't get this fluff to look right. Save me! I think it needs to be rotated, actually. Sometimes there's all kinds of things that can happen to make something look better or worse. And sometimes it just needs a little rotation. The top line needs to change, but I like this better. Let's see. But yeah, I think most, if not all of you guys are from the J Plays channel, so all I can say is keep your eyes peeled, because you never know what you might recognize. So let's see. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's still happening. We did a whole live stream, and everybody was super pumped, and I was super pumped, so we ended up going on and doing another one. So Mike is actually one of our VAs. He actually voices Iryoku here. I'll show you guys. This is the character he voices. So we actually have both the voice actors involved in today's stuff on, I think. I think Erwin was still on. Yeah, most of you guys right now are from my gaming channel. So let's see. So Tsutanai is going to have a lot more fluff. And it's going to be a lot poofier looking than your Yoku's was. So let's see. So if you look at your Yoku's, you can see it's very spiky, it's very thin, and it still keeps fairly close to his chest. We're looking at something more like what I did with Hikaru here, where her fluff poofs out a lot more, and there's a lot more volume to it. And so we're going to be looking more at that with this. Let me see. Yeah, Aaron's still here. Okay. We're going to be looking more at that when we draw Tsutanai here. And we're going to be looking at definitely more fluff. Yeah, definitely give a big hand to our voice actors. I'm not sure. Mike is our only distance voice actor at the moment, and I'm not sure what chaos he goes through for his recording, but I'm sure it's there. But the rest of us are I'm sure he has his own chaos. You'd have to ask him that. But the rest of us have been pulling 5-hour days a couple of times a week to try and get these lines recorded. So in any case, voice acting is no easy feat. So definitely give a big hand to our voice actors and everybody who comes to those meetings for putting up to us, and for Mike for taking time out of his busy life to record for us. Because they're awesome. I see one other comment by you, Mike. I see one other comment by you. I don't know if there was another. I don't know. No, that's not happening. I'm sorry, that's not happening. We're doing something else here. Let's see. Am I in this too? Yes, I am. I'm actually doing a voice for someone you'll meet in the first episode. I have not introduced her yet. But I actually did quite a bit of voice work for her yesterday, and it was a lot of fun. It was also very, very taxing, and if my voice is slightly dead now because I already came back from another live stream, but yeah, it's also slightly dead because I was at one of those 5-hour meetings yesterday. Yeah, so definitely, definitely long hours, but yes, I am doing a voice. And you know what? I think I'm actually going to scoot Tsunai's head more this way, because I think her neck was a little too long. But yes, I am doing a voice. I'm not going to give many details about the character just yet. I can just say that she is a bit of a change from the voice I normally use on my channel, and I've really had fun with the role, so I'm super excited for you guys to meet her. I think there's going to be quite a reaction to her. So, yeah, let's see. Alrighty. Yeah, I'll definitely send you that ref, Mike. What color wolf? She is a brown wolf, deep chocolate brown, and I had a lot of fun with her design. It was so funny, too. After I'll have to keep your eyes out for some behind the scenes videos, because I did her design not thinking that, she, like, I thought it was going to be a thing where it was a very unique, like, probably not, hers is one of the ones that kind of crosses the boundaries of realisms, perhaps, a little bit more. But the hilarious thing is I actually found a picture of a wolf that looks like exactly like her, and I found it after I designed her. So yeah, I'm very excited for you guys to meet her, and I will have to share that story in more detail after she has officially been revealed. So she's one of the characters, though. I will say this: I haven't introduced everybody to you, and not everybody will be introduced beforehand. There will be some characters that are totally new and a complete surprise that you guys won't have seen before in any of these live streams. I do plan on doing more, because this seems to be going really well. I'm really enjoying this. Oh wow, it looks like a lot of you guys are getting into the character design stuff too. I'm glad I can be inspiring to you guys. Alright, let's see. Let's see. For her paw shape, I think I'm gonna give her some smaller paws too, because again, that's another difference. It's just like if you look at male and female hands, generally guys will have bigger hands than girls. Again, not always true. This is there are exceptions to the rule. This is generalizations. But as a generality, is that the right? As a general rule. As a general rule, as a generalization, that's probably what I was thinking. That's how it happens, how it works. Oh, that sounds like a cool idea, Kylie. If you do it, I'd love to see it. Yeah, a lot of you guys are talking about how you guys have some pretty cool animation ideas too, or stories you're writing, or things you're drawing, and I would love to see that. You be kind of careful with posting them here, or like posting links for it, because it could be counted as advertising. But if you contact me privately through either messages, or if you email me, it's the same email you guys can find in my JPlays account, then I would love to hear about them. So let's see. Alrighty. Man, you guys, these are great sandwiches. Oh man, I'm so sorry, but alrighty, so let's see. Let's bring this all the way up. Again, she has a little bit narrower, slenderer legs than the male wolves usually do. Just, again, it's a generalization. It's okay, Kylie, just be kind of careful with that thing for the future. Again, as a general rule, and they're probably not even slender enough, the legs are a little bit slenderer. With these things, you know, there's always going to be exceptions, but especially when you're drawing non-human characters, you have to set up certain distinctions, because you want people to be able to look at a new character and, like, you know, it's easier with lions, but in The Lion King, you immediately know who is a lion, who's a lioness. They look very different. For one thing, they're a different color, and I mean, of course, the males have manes. But, like, you don't have to ask the question, you don't have to wonder what gender the character is. Even if these are generalizations, when it comes to animation, having some of these general rules set up, and even not animation, even comics and stuff, whenever you're working with visual storytelling, having some of these rules set up, even if they are generalizations, can help with, just, if you have to introduce new characters, it can make it a little easier, a little bit smoother. So let's see. We'll come down here. And we will give her a pretty small paw again. We don't want her to have huge feet. That's one of the things we do with this to help distinguish. That also gives you a lot of freedom. If you have a character that breaks the mold, you can break the mold in more ways. So, like, if you want to show something about a character, defying expectations like that, can say a lot about the character's personality. So, like, a tomboy character might be very much not fluffy. Or such not. See you later, Erwin. Might have a lot less fluff, even if she is female. You might be able to set up more of, or she might be a little bit more raggedy. Ah, hello, welcome. I'm afraid I can't pronounce your name. I'm sorry. I'm not that well versed in Cyrillic, but hello. But yeah, it can help you set up and then defy these expectations, and it can say a lot about characters if they do defy expectations. Oh my goodness, I think I just tried to say oh my word and oh my goodness at once and it didn't work, but dude, that ice cream sounds amazing right now, dude. It's so hot, you have no idea, and I really want something cold. I have my sandwich though, which is not cold, but is lovely. But I also love ice cream. Oh, dude. Here we go. Alright, so also another thing is the elbow fur on female characters, at least in my style, tends to be a little bit smoother. So like we talked about this last time, Hikaru has very smooth elbows, whereas Uyoku has much spikier fur on his elbows. So we'll probably bring this up more like this, and then just have a small thing of fur. Oh, gracious. Yeah, oh my goodness. That's what I should have said. Oh, gracious. But you can already see, if I take away this background, these two are in almost exactly the same pose. They're almost exactly the same size. Tsutanai probably needs to have shorter legs. They're really long. Oh my goodness. But you can see already how much of a difference this characterization has made. You can see they look so different even though they're in almost exactly the same pose. And that's ideally what you want in an animation. You want characters to not just be recognizable by markings, especially when dealing with non-human characters, but also by shape and by how they look. You want there to be distinctions amongst how they look. Alright, let's see. Oh, gracious. Good gracious. Alright, let me see. I actually don't like Sprite or soda. Well, I sort of like Sprite, but I don't really like soda. It's a weird thing for me. I can't do carbonation. It bothers me so bad for some reason. I can't stand it. So I actually don't drink soda. I drink a lot of juice. Alright, let's see. So I think, yeah, that's definitely, might need to adjust some proportions again, but definitely coming. I'm gonna actually move her a little bit more this way. I end up changing sizes sometimes, so I'll probably, actually adjust this background thing so that it matches up more with what we're seeing. More like this. So that I can use it as a better reference. Let's make sure we save from time to time. How long until I'm done with this picture? I don't know. It just depends. With the animation, we're shooting for an autumn release, early autumn. So, alright, let's see. I'm gonna actually make this, fix this particular area because she looks a little bit too, this one line is a little bit odd. Let's come this way and come down here. There we go. And let's work with her ear as well a little bit. I'll come up here and do her ear. So her ear is a little further back than it is there, and it's gonna be a lot, it's gonna be more upright because, it's a different expression, a different facial expression. She's also got a lot smaller of an ear and a lot rounder of an ear. I kind of want to move this line out a little bit. Alright. Alrighty, here we go. The thing with stuff like ears, too, is with 2D animation, you can kind of fudge it sometimes. So, to be perfectly honest, the position of this connection probably moves around a little bit depending on how I'm drawing the characters. But you can kind of do stuff like that with 2D animation sometimes. You just have to be a little bit careful. I don't recommend doing it all the time, but in some cases it can be necessary and helpful. I'm actually going to move this up and rotate it a little bit. We'll scoot this way. Alright, we'll move this up. I wouldn't be able to go off sugar. I would lose it. I would lose it. Let's see. Aw. Well, you know what? It's mostly bad news on the news anyway. It honestly is. The ear and size distinction depends on the character, too. I don't necessarily have a formula for male and female with the ears. Because you can get different feelings from this. So, Tsutanai has a smaller, rounder ear. That gives her still more of a softer feel. Whereas Iryoku, again, has a little bit larger of an ear and it's a little bit sharper. Also, his ear is larger because we're emphasizing how it's torn. It shows the tear more, but Tsutanai doesn't have any injuries like that, and so we're not emphasizing that. But it depends. So, like, the other thing, too, is you have to take into account the wolf's heritage. So Tsutanai probably, in all honesty, comes from more of an Arctic heritage. I explain this a little. I'll go into this in more detail as the story goes on, but basically, you know, you have wolves in a world where there's north, south, east, west directions, basically. The north is generally colder. Well, in colder environments, animals will generally have thicker coats, bigger, more heavy-set bodies, and smaller ears, because they don't want to lose heat through their ears. They need to conserve all the body heat they have. But in warmer environments, you'll generally see less body fur and larger ears. And you can even see that if you look at, a good example is, somebody's actually asking, do I actually live in a desert? Yes, I do. If you look at the coyotes out here versus the stereotypical pictures you see of northern coyotes, there's a big difference. Our coyotes have a lot less fur and a lot bigger ears. So Tsutanai, although these guys live in kind of the central climate, Tsutanai probably has a little bit more northern heritage, and in fact, I think I still did make her a little too tall. So she's probably a little bit shorter and has a little bit of a thicker coat. Whereas Iryoku is probably a little bit of more southern, so he's a little bit leaner and has a thinner coat. Sometimes that can depend on characters as well, so like, for example, you know, you have the 6 guardians. Well, one of them is the Winter Guardian, and one of them is the Earth Guardian. Well, the Earth Guardian is more associated with the warmer desert climates where there's a lot of rocks, and so generally will have features like the shorter coat and the larger ears, whereas the Winter Guardian will have more features characteristic of the northern colder climates, such as a thicker, fluffier coat and smaller ears. So, yeah, the live stream will end once I'm done finishing up the ref, and in fact, I honestly don't even like how this ear turned out for Tsutanai, or the upper fluff thing. I'm going to rework that yet again. But so Tsutanai probably takes, because you can see even when I drew her here, she's got a lot of fluff. She's probably more northern heritage. I'll probably do something like this, I think. How does that look? Let's see how this looks. Oh, gracious. Oh, good gracious. Let's see. And I think I'll have her ear go a little bit more back, because that's how I drew it, and it's tripping me up to try and draw it other ways. But as for distinction of male and female in the ears, again, I usually draw a little bit rounder ears for the females, that where they're a little bit fluffier on the tip, whereas the males generally have less visible fluff and more, they've got more of a, just a smoother and then pointier at the tip ear. And yes, Tsutanai probably will have a little bit of fluff inside her ear. You can't even really see that for ear yoku, because of the angle his ear is at. Oh gracious, that's, no. No, I'm very picky about these things. But you'll probably, oh gracious. Let's see. Yeah, it's not as visible for ear yoku. See you later, Kylie. Aw, see you later, Maya. Oh yeah, it's probably late for some of you guys, anybody who's watching from Europe. It's still pretty early for us in America, but it's getting later. Depending on where you are, it's either getting later or still fairly early in the day. What's life in a desert like? Well, you can hear my air conditioner running behind my voice because right now it's probably over 100 degrees outside. Basically, we all just turn into inside dwelling creatures for most of the summertime. It is nice though because the winters are very mild. We're lucky if it gets down to freezing. It only normally goes down below freezing at night. So, it comes with its benefits and its curses. It kind of just depends. It's very hot though right now. Yeah, it's depending on where you are in the US. Hawaii is a couple hours off, but for continental, it's 3 here and I'm West Coast, so it's 6 in the East Coast, I think. Yeah, we have what's called a forest near where I live, but it doesn't look anything like a typical forest. It's just got some level of trees. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give Tsutanai a little bit of this head fluff, but it's going to be definitely a lot gentler. Actually, I kind of like that one. Than what we see with ear yoku. And it's probably going to be a little bit more... I'm going to actually move it this way. It's going to be a little bit softer. She's not going to have as much of it either. You can see on ear yoku, it fluffs up quite a bit. It's very spiky and sticky-uppy. Tsunai's isn't going to have as much of that. Alright, we'll see you later, Slinky. Alrighty. Yeah, I'm in the desert portion of California. So, the one good thing about here is we don't have mosquitoes, really. There's not many of them. We don't have much humidity, so we don't have a lot of mosquitoes. I'm gonna see how I like this. I'm not sure if I'm gonna like it or not. I'm gonna maybe bring it down a little bit here. And we'll see. I think that's too little fluff, perhaps. It's not quite enough. Okay, yeah. So we're gonna see just a little bit, hey Bella! We're gonna see just a little bit of fluff coming down here. I'm gonna try and draw it like this. I've never done that before. I usually go the other way. No, this isn't gonna really work, is it? No, I don't like that. Oh, gracious. Alright, you're saying for a little bit at least. For anyone who hasn't met Bella, Bella is one of our, or she's actually our colorist and voice actor. And Mike is one of our voice actors as well. I mentioned that earlier, I think, though. But for anyone new who's going in. Ugh. Ooh, a mosquito bite on a spider bite sounds absolutely horrific. I apparently have the whatever blood type they like. Apparently it's me. Because they always come after me. and I am very allergic to them. Like, beyond just normally what you guys... Most people will get a welt, or most people will get a little red bump. I get huge welts, and I get up to 30... I think my record was 30 to 40 mosquito bites after about 15 minutes outside. One time, this was when we were out of state in an area that does have mosquitoes. This head fluff is difficult. But yeah, the place I'm going this summer for vacation has mosquitoes, so I'll probably just stay inside from whenever the sun starts to go down. I can't get this head fluff to look right. Rip me. Oh, gracious. This is just a thing. I haven't ever really experimented with female head fluff before, so it's a little bit of me figuring this out as we go, too. Maybe I'll do something more like this, where it kind of just merges into the head. What do you guys think? Let me zoom out a little bit more. I do like having it come down a little bit. So maybe I'll do this. Connect it here. Let's see. Oh yeah, we have an Instagram account, as well. We have a lot of social media accounts. Let's see. Oh, gracious, moths are... moths are not necessarily fun. Oh, man. Yeah, some of you guys have a lot of scary bugs, it sounds like, or annoying bugs. We get tarantula hawk wasps. Those are about the doggone scariest thing I've ever seen. I don't like bees to the extent of if it flies and stings, it better stay away from me. Tarantula hawk wasps are practically... I don't even have a word for them. They're terrifying. They are legitimately terrifying. If you guys haven't ever heard of a tarantula hawk wasp, it's basically a huge wasp, several inches in size, that preys on tarantulas. It's black with bright orange wings, and its sting is considered the most painful sting in the insect world, the second only to the bullet ant. It's the second most painful sting ever. We have them. I've seen them in my yard. I don't like bees. This thing scared the living daylights out of me the couple of times I saw it. Thankfully, that was only, like, once. Or it was only one summer that we had them. But yeah, they're scary as all get out. I don't think we have fire ants or anything, though. I don't know. I haven't seen them at any rate. Yeah, if any of you... Tarantula hawk wasps were scary. If any of you guys have watched, was it Brave Wilderness, with Coyote Peterson, his shows, he got himself stung by a tarantula hawk wasp once, and filmed it. Kind of careful if you watch the video, because he's done a few things that are a little bit... He's gotten bitten by some stuff that was a little bit gory. He usually puts up warnings about that. But if you're okay with that, or you heed the warnings and skip past the part in the video, he's very informative. And it's not unnecessary gore, it's accurate gore. That's really what happens when you get bitten by, and I think it was an alligator snapping turtle or whatever, something like that. Something big bit him. And it was pretty nasty. He's been bit by a lot of things. But it's not the most fun thing in the world to watch. But yeah, it's informative. He does a lot of crazy things for the sake of showing people what not to do. Oh, we do have fire ants. Okay. Remind me never to go outside again. Alright, I gotta get this fluff working on the back of her neck, too. Let's see. So the way I did it this last time, I had a lot less fluff, but this is closer up. Oh, gracious, that was not what I meant to do. But this is much closer, so we have to have more detail. Basically, again, what I do with these animation references is they're about the maximum level of detail that we're ever going to see. So they, They are fairly detailed, but a lot of the time the character won't actually be drawn with as much detail because it'll be further back or whatever. Alright, see you later, Kylie. So already you can see there are some marked differences. I'm still not fond of this. I don't know what this is, but it's going away. But you can see already, just looking at the structure, there's some marked differences between Tsutanai and Iryoku. You can already see they're drawn differently. They have quite different, structures. Yeah. So it's definitely, it's something that's hard to get with character design, but it's really rewarding when you get there. It's taken me a long time to figure this stuff out, let's just say that. Once our neighbors had a snapping turtle in the front yard, my dad had to take it out for them. It was scary. I bet those things are nothing to sneeze at. Yeah, those things are really scary. If you ever find a snapping turtle, don't mess with it, because those things mean business. Honestly, in most cases, you don't want to mess with wildlife. I have, well, oh gracious, that was not what I meant to do. I have video, I didn't catch the whole thing, but I have a video talking about how I even got attacked by a pair of robins once in my backyard because I was too close to their nest. So even animals that normally don't seem like they would be dangerous can be dangerous. You just gotta be kind of careful. and probably don't go out of your way to mess with wildlife. So let's see. Sorry guys, my voice is going downhill a little bit. This'll have to be the last stream, I think. This needs to move up. Let's move it like right here. Does that look good? That looks fine, okay. What you can't see is me over here measuring things with my fingers. Because I do that, apparently. It helps. It works. Let's see. Yeah, character design is a lengthy process, but when you get there, it's really fun. It's really cool. So, Tsutanai has this little fluffiness underneath. She's not super fluffy underneath. Like I said, she's Northern Heritage. She's not a Northern Wolf specifically. She lives in a she lives in a temperate climate, so it's not super hot or super cold. But she does have Northern Heritage, so... let me figure out now. Oh, gracious. Salty Nova says, I went to a water park and I was on the lazy river and there was this bird relentlessly attacking a lifeguard. Lifeguard was probably close to its nest. Most likely. Some birds are also just territorial. We used to have birds that lived near our old house, and if we were sitting outside, they would come and swoop at us. The robins got to the point where they were so aggressive towards me because I was up by their nest too many times. I won't go into the details here, but if you want, there's videos on my channel about that, about why I was so close to their nest both times. But it got to the point where they would see me standing in the door with the door open and they would come at me. Alrighty. I see you later, Slinky. But yeah, so birds can be very territorial too. Even against something that's like 10 times their size. Yeah, it can be kind of funny. It's not funny to get attacked by a bird, it's kind of funny to watch someone get attacked by a bird. It's one of those things where it's funny as long as no one gets hurt. But you do have to be kind of aware that birds do have sharp beaks and a lot of them have sharp claws, and they could do some damage if they hit you wrong. But as long as nobody gets hurt, it's one of those things where, yeah, it's admittedly kind of amusing. It's not fun when you're trying to nail something to the roof, though, I will say that. That's scary. It's scary as heck, especially when it's dark and you don't see them until they're in your face. Alright, let's see. Oh, did I talk about feet? I don't know if I talked about the feet. You can see here, I talked about this a little bit last time. And, with the feet, you can see Iryoku has a little bit more of a pronounced ankle. Would it be called the hawk? I'm not sure. he has a little bit more pronounced area there, but Tsutanai really doesn't have any at all. That's another different way I differentiate between a male and female. The males generally have more of a pronounced ankle area. Let me see. Oh, gracious. Yeah, birds, even pet birds, can be mean. You know what's really mean, though, is those Roborovsky Russian dwarf hamsters. I'm sure there's good ones out there, but I've known so many people who have had them as pets, and they're all mean. I'm sure once in a blue moon, you could find a nice one, but all the Roborovsky hamsters I have ever known have been mean as all get out. I don't know what it is. And then the golden hamsters I've known, the larger kind, are very nice. The most of the ones I've known. I had a golden hamster at one point. But for some reason, all the dwarf hamsters are just small balls of anger. I don't know why this is. If I've just known people who are really unlucky and had terrible luck with finding a nice one, but I've never met a nice Roborovsky hamster. But yeah, some birds can be really mean too. I had chickens, but they were pretty nice. And then other than that, I've watched my friends' birds, but I have never had a pet bird other than my chickens. Alrighty. Chickens are amazingly smart. Birds in general are pretty smart, actually. Oops, let me see. Let's come down here. Trying to get this angle right is a very, very difficult to do. No, still not right. It's gotta come down further. Here we go. That's probably better. Yeah, some hamsters are just absolutely mean, especially the dwarf hamsters. I'm sorry, I don't know what it is, but they just seem to be so angry all the time. To be fair, though, my hamster was really nice, but he used to escape. He figured out how to get out of his cage and caused absolute chaos a couple of times. So yeah. That's that's my hamster for you. Gracious, yeah. I used to want a pet mouse, but my mom can't stand their tails, so that never happened. I had fish for a while. I had 2 goldfish that the aquarium equipment, I had awful luck with that, and it just kept breaking down, and it got to the point where it just was like, okay, this is just not even working. I've had lizards, wild lizards, actually, that I caught. I don't even know if that's legal now. I was little when that happened. I used to be able to catch the lizards. I've had 5 cats over the course of my lifetime. I have 2 currently, and I have my dog, Sierra. And I'm trying to think. I had 2 chickens. I think that's most of my pets, though. Yeah, I think that's most of my pets. Let's see. The Robin Nest Diaries, I've talked about this before, is that I just have a lot of footage to edit because we got to the last episode where they fledged, and I ended up recording hours upon hours of footage trying to get them fledging, like trying to catch it when it happened. And so I have hours on hours of footage to go through, and I just have not had the chance to sit down and go through it yet. So we will have that last episode soon here. I did not mean to leave you guys hanging. I just have been really busy, and I have a lot of footage to go through. So yeah, I'll get you guys the update on that soon. It doesn't look like they're going to stick around, unfortunately. But we did see, I haven't seen them for a while, so I think they may have moved on, but they did stick around for a little bit. That was pretty cool. Are roosters kind of mean? I don't know. One of my chickens turned out to be a rooster. Okay, so the thing about me is, we're not allowed to keep farm animals, so I had them as chicks, and then when they got too big and they couldn't be indoor pets anymore, that we've given to a friend who has like a legit farm area. But I don't know. I know adult roosters can be kind of mean, but I don't know if mine ever was, because I got rid of him. Before that happened, I had to get rid of him. So, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Oh yeah, I had a beta fish at one point, but he didn't do so well. Beta fish seem to not do so well a lot of the time. It's probably because people don't, like, they don't teach you how to properly care for them or something like that. I don't know. And they end up being in a small bowl a lot of the time. But I remember I was one of my first pets was a beta fish named Fins, and he died. And it was kind of traumatic for small me, but that usually happens to those fish, to be perfectly honest. If you guys have a beta and you've kept it alive, kudos to you, because that's more than a lot of people can say. It's funny because they sell these fish so cheap, but if you really want them to live and you really want to be able to take care of them, you have to buy the whole aquarium equipment, and that's not cheap. So it's kind of a trap. Yeah, the only reason I ever had goldfish was because I won them at a Halloween carnival. But yeah, a lot of fish are just hard to keep, it seems, unless you go all out and you get all the equipment and everything, and even so, if the equipment keeps breaking, then it's, yeah. Alrighty. Let me see. So, I think we're getting there. I'm just getting this last leg blocked in. Oops. Ah, no, don't do that. Just get this last leg blocked in here. Yeah, just fish are a trap, honestly. Like pet store fish, they're a trap. They really are. They seem like they're going to be easy to take care of. They seem like they're going to be entertaining, but really they're really hard to take care of, and some of them aren't even all that friendly or entertaining. It depends on the fish. I had one fish who was quite the character, but some of the others just, like, the other one tended to hide more. So, yeah, you keep them in a Tupperware container, and they're probably not going to last long, though. Yeah, the trouble is you kind of do need the aquarium equipment if you want your fish to live, but I don't know. Those poor fish are kind of just doomed from the start. Oh, man. So, well, then every once in a while you have superfish, because I had, one of my goldfish was like superfish. He lived through so many filters breaking, leaving me unable to clean the water. I don't even know how that fish survived as long as it did. He died in the end, actually just like a couple of years ago. But, oh my gosh, I don't know how that fish lived as long as he did. The poor thing. I almost would have been better if he hadn't had to go through that. But yeah, the poor guy was just a complete and total survivor. So every once in a while you find a fish that just lives, and it's just like, I don't know how this fish is still alive, but it is. So, oh gracious. Yeah. I'm probably not ever gonna get a pet fish again. They're kind of fun. They can be interesting to watch. But I don't have good luck with aquarium equipment, and I know this now. For the fish's sake, I'm not gonna have another fish. Alright, so now let's take a look at the tail here. And, for Tsutanai, she has a bit more of a fluffier tail. It's gonna probably poof down a little bit more. Whereas Iryoku's, it was poofy, but you can see the tail itself was pretty thin. Tsutanai's is a lot thicker. So we'll make sure that we're gonna try make sure that it's still kind of fluffy at the bottom there. But we want to try to get more shape to it. Yeah, sometimes some people have fish that do really well. Some certain fish do really well, like just there's those just specific fish that do really well for some reason. But, and like, if you get a good aquarium setup, then they can do pretty well. I had a good aquarium setup for a long time, but the filters kept breaking, and then they stopped making the good kind, and I couldn't get a good filter for the tank that worked with the tank I had. So that kind of sucked. The other thing is, most pet stores won't give you good instructions on how to care for a fish when they give you a fish, or when you get a fish from them, so a lot of people are just ill-informed. Honestly, I don't know. For me, I don't do well with the aquarium stuff. I can't keep the equipment working. But some people do manage to keep fish and do well with it. I just am not one of those people. I will stick to furry pets. Alright, let's see. Goldfish can actually get really big. I had a goldfish that got one of my goldfish got fairly large. Yeah, you do want to be pretty careful with pet stores. It depends on the store too. Sometimes the smaller pet stores I've found can be a little bit better. It kind of just depends though. Like my hamster was from the pet store and he did really, really well. It's different with small pets versus larger pets like cats and dogs. So like my dog and my cats were both they were all rescues. But like when you have small pets, at least out here, we don't really have anything for small pets. We don't really have a shelter for small pets or anything like that. So I don't know. Alright, let's see. Sorry, you guys, my voice is kind of dying. I'm probably not making as much coherent sense anymore with this. Let's see. Oh, wow, yeah. Fish from a flea market is probably not gonna... Man, if that's a fish that did really well, that's... Dang, that's one amazing fish. Alright, let's see. Let's try and get this up here. Yeah, you really have to research, even if you're just getting a fish or a hamster or something, you really want to make sure you do the research. Because otherwise it, like, I got my goldfish from a carnival. I didn't know I was going to get a fish until I actually got the fish. So then we had to quickly figure out what the heck do you do with the fish. But, like, if you're going to get a pet, it's usually better to, it's usually a lot better to do the research. So that you know what you're going into. The pet I really want is a pet ferret, but unfortunately they're illegal here, because my state is stupid. I'm serious though. My state has the weirdest laws, and I don't know. I don't even know what to think about this state anymore. But that's all I'll say in politics. But yeah, ferrets are illegal here, so cry. I can't get a pet ferret. Alright, let's see. Let's go up here. I think my cat is part ferret, though. I mean that jokingly. That's not possible, but like seriously, she acts like a ferret. I'm not even kidding. I think Shadow is part ferret. I don't even know. What isn't illegal in Cali? Couple of things I probably shouldn't say. The only things that aren't illegal here are the things that should be. Let's put it that way. Yeah, you gotta be careful. I've heard a lot of bad stories about geckos, especially pet store geckos. You really got to be careful with them because they can have a lot of health problems, and a lot of the pet stores don't care for them well. Let's see. Here we go. That actually made the head look better, I think. Let's see. Yeah, I think this is looking pretty good. Yeah, honestly, like, I'm established here in California. This is my home. This is where I have friends. But if I didn't have all that, I'd probably be hightailing it out of here. I have my friend group here. I have my family here. If they weren't here, I probably wouldn't be here. It's kind of a nice place sometimes, but it's also kind of not. It's not all it's cracked up to be, guys. So I think this looks pretty good for the reference that we have so far. And I think we'll go ahead. You can already see there's a huge amount of difference, even though they're in basically the same pose. They're a little bit different in, well, let me see if I can line them up a little bit better. Is this, here, let's... You can see there's quite a bit of difference between them, even though they're drawn in virtually the same pose. There's a lot of distinction between them, even if we just look at the line art. You can see there's so much distinction in between them. And that's ideally what character design comes down to, is you want your characters to look distinct. You want them to look different. You want to be able to recognize them even without them being colored in. So hopefully, I like how this turned out. Maybe need to work on the head fluff a little bit, but that's something I can perfect through the actual working on it. For now, this will suffice as a reference. I'll put Yoku's coloration back on. So let's go ahead and get into actually doing the coloration. Tsunai's design was actually based off of a Border Collie. Wait. Yeah, okay. It was actually based off Border Collie coloration. And I actually didn't have any gaps. That's amazing. That might be the first time that's ever happened. But yeah, she was actually based off a Border Collie and their looks. So not necessarily totally wolf coloration, but still within the realm of canine plausibility. Alright, let's see. Let's go ahead and we'll grab the lightest shade, and we'll put that in at the bottom. It's almost a sort of blue tint. Let's do that. Oh, we have a spot here, and so the first thing I'm going to do is actually go through and make sure we don't have any of those weird little spots that didn't quite get filled in. It might be kind of hard to see with this color, though. Alright, where is everything, too? Here we go. Let's get that done. I'll have to try and do more of these streams too, because it seems like you guys really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed it. My voice is kind of dying now, so I can't exactly do more today, but I definitely will have to invite you guys back for some more character work as I do that, or if I even, at some point, I hope I can show you guys some of the animation. I just have to find a good scene that's not going to spoil anything, and that can be a little tough to do sometimes, but if I find one, I will definitely show you guys how I do some of the actual animation too, because that'd be really, really fun. So let's get her eye color in. There we go. And let's get her nose. Alright, see you guys, some of you guys are going to be right back. So yeah, catch you guys later. Let's see. Welcome back. Oops, that's lines. So let's come down here. And then I'm actually going to, what I'm going to do is take this coloration, and I'm going to do something a little bit different than I did with Yoku's, because Tsutanai has slightly different coloration. And sometimes this seems to help. So I'm actually going to go on color base and select around it, and then I'm going to invert my selection. So this should be the area that's selected now. Then I'm going to do another layer. And here we go. So she actually has this little sort of thing here that I think, actually, no, it's higher up, actually. Yeah. Alright. So I think I'm gonna have it be some of this head fluff thing that is the lighter part, and it actually connects up, not what I meant to do, it actually connects up to her eyebrow, basically. So we'll come here, and then this can go there. Want to make sure it's all connected. Then from there, it actually comes down over here, and then from the bottom of her eye, it goes over to her fluff on her cheek. You missed a little bit of coloring, and me talking a little bit about the coloring here. So it connects over right about here. And then this area also is darker coloration. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in all these edges. And this is on a separate layer from the color base. So let's see. Which enables me to select and deselect it without issue. And then the backs of the ears are they are the darker coloration. So let's make sure we get this done. It's a little bit outside the lines. Don't worry, we'll fix that later. That should have it completely surrounded. Nope, apparently not. Oh, it's probably on, it's this area, that's right. I forgot about that. So we gotta make sure it's completely surrounded. And this, nope. Where is it? This is always the fun part. There's that. Alright, I knew it was too easy when the first one was so easy to find. In fact, let's actually erase off some of the stuff that got outside the lines. If I take these off, do I see where it's gap? Oh, the gap's right here. There we go. So let's put these back. That should do it. Yep. So now we want to go through and make sure we color in all this area. Alrighty. Thank you. Yeah, it's been good to stream. I really like this, and I'll have to do it again sometime. And hopefully, too, we can keep spreading the word about the series, too. Right now, not many people know about it, which is probably the biggest handicap we are facing at the moment, is that not many people know Raiden's Quest even exists. So, if you guys know people who'd be interested, be sure to spread the word and direct them back to the channel, and maybe they can join us for some of the next streams. I don't know exactly when I'll be streaming. It'll probably be some earlier day ones, because usually I do a lot of my recording in the afternoon. And I still do have to record games for games for the gaming channel at some point. Today I may just end up doing pre-recorded. I gotta get some Minecraft story mode edited anyway, so we'll see how it all works out. But yeah, make sure that if you know people who are interested, to let them know about it so they can come and check it out too. Because right now we are not very well known. There's not a lot of people who even know the series exists, and I honestly feel that there are probably a lot of people out there who hopefully would enjoy it if we can pull it off and do a good job, but most of them don't know about it. So a little word of mouth never hurts. Alrighty. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you, Salty Nova. Yeah, thank you guys all for spreading the word up. Oh, see you later, Kylie. Good luck with the animation. And but yeah, thank you. Any shout out is very much appreciated. Any word of mouth or any way of spreading the word is very, very helpful to us. So right now too, we have this area here, And like I talked about with Iryoku, we want to kind of naturally follow the pattern of the hackles. And this is kind of how that goes. So let's see. And yeah, we have, we're here on YouTube, of course. We're on Instagram, we're on Tumblr, we're on DeviantArt, we are on Facebook, we're on a lot of places. I talk about us sometimes. We don't have an official Twitter, but my kind of my Twitter talks about us sometimes too. But yeah, if you guys know of anyone who'd be interested, you can spread the word. And then any of those sites, I try to, this doesn't get updated as frequently, I'm trying to change that, but I don't always have the most content I can put out on the YouTube because it's video. Live stream stuff works though, for sure. And, so whenever, wait, does this go down further? It does. Okay, dang it. That's more comparable to what it is on this. Let's do this. But yeah, so any word that gets out is helpful, because right now we don't have a very large following. And if word doesn't spread about this, I mean, I'm gonna keep doing it for sure, but I don't know how much of a long-term thing it can be unless word gets out, because at some point, we're all working on this as volunteers, but at some point, we can't always keep doing that. Especially as we get older, and, like, I'm probably gonna have to start looking for a job soon. Probably, unless YouTube ends up becoming a job, more of a job than it already is. But yeah, so it's one of those things where the more word spreads, the more likely we are to be able to continue this, and the more likely it is that we can go on as more of a professional team than just a group of friends working on a project. So any word you guys spread is very helpful, and thank you guys for sharing it around. I think Bella can help you guys out if you need social media links too, if you guys want to find it on any of those. Do we need Russian peeps? Yeah, well, anyone, anywhere. I don't think we can really translate Raiden's Quest into other languages, so I don't know. I don't know how much, if it's, depending on if it's if you got, I don't know how many people over there speak English or not, but, like, I don't know. If you guys can speak, if they speak English and can understand the show, then that'll be fine. If not, and they still want to watch, that's awesome. But yeah, it doesn't really matter where you guys are. We're welcome to everyone. Anyone who would like the show is welcome to come. So thank you guys for spreading the word. How many people over there do speak English or not, actually? Because I went to, not Russia, but Ukraine, and it seemed like almost no one spoke English. But I've met several people from Russia now who have absolutely amazing English. And, like, did I just miss something, or is it different between Russia and Ukraine? Or how does this work exactly? Because I don't know how the language system works over there. Do you guys all learn English, or is that more in Russia than in Ukraine, or how does that all work? I'm afraid I'm not well versed in any systems other than America. I don't have very much foreign experience. But yeah, as long as you guys are interested and you want to listen, then and you want to watch, that's great. Anyone is welcome. Alrighty, let's see. Let's keep making sure. I can't talk or think or any of this. We gotta make sure that this is all filled up, because if any of this open area is exposed, it counts it if any of the transparent areas is exposed, it counts it as part of the same area. Yeah, exactly. Like, I know a lot of a lot of countries that don't have English as a first language, a lot of people will learn English. It just seemed like where we were, not many people spoke English. So now I'm curious. I don't know very much about the foreign how the foreign things work. So, and it probably depends on the country too, I'm sure. But yeah, I didn't know. I don't know. I just know in Ukraine there weren't, at least where we were, there weren't very many English speakers. But I've met a lot of English speakers from Russia lately, and all of you guys have amazing English, and I wouldn't have known if you guys hadn't said something or whatnot. I'm confused. It's awesome though that the internet lets us connect no matter where we are in the world, and it's just so cool to see. No, rip. I knew that was gonna happen. But yeah, it's really, really cool to see. Do something yet? That's all okay. It might be right here. Alright, let's see. Nope. I've definitely gotten more of a global perspective working on YouTube now, too, because you connect with people all over the globe constantly. And it's so, so cool. I suspect this might be it. It's so very cool. And it's honestly incredible what technology nowadays has allowed us to do. So it's very, very cool to be able to it's honestly mind-boggling to know that people all across the globe are watching stuff like this. Like, just a few centuries ago, that would have been absolutely unheard of. YouTube has opened a lot of doors for stuff like this, because it's very, very possible for what might have otherwise been restricted to a certain area can be completely global. So there's very little to stop Raiden's quest from potentially being seen all the way across the globe if people want to watch it. Technology is not a limiter in this anymore. It's amazing to me. Aw, thank you for subscribing. Yeah, any subscription or likes or comments or stuff, I don't know how YouTube's algorithms work or any of that, but I'm sure it goes towards making the channel get more noticed. And the more noticed the channel is, the more likely other people are to find out about it. So thank you, guys. I don't like advertising. I don't really like advertising, but sometimes sometimes you kind of need to. Alright, I see. Yeah, I know a lot of, it didn't seem like a lot of people in Ukraine knew how to speak English, so it's kind of interesting. I used to speak a little bit. It was kind of where we were, it was a little bit of an interesting combination between Russian and Ukrainian. So I speak bits and pieces of both languages still, but not very well. If I had to speak it and I was having it spoken to me, I expect I would start picking it up again pretty fast. But it was enough to the point of between trying to figure stuff out, using the few words we knew in pantomiming, we could generally get the point across what we wanted to say. So, yeah, you probably don't need to know English, but a lot of people speak English, it seems. So it probably does help. I don't know. It probably depends on what you want to do. Out here where I live, since it's the Southern California area, there's a lot of Spanish speakers because a lot of people have come up from Mexico. And so down here, speaking Spanish is pretty beneficial because there are quite a few people who speak Spanish and don't speak English. So that was actually my official foreign language, was Spanish. I still probably couldn't communicate in Spanish. I can sort of fudge it sometimes, but not very, very well. But yeah, it probably depends on where you live, what languages are most beneficial to, where you live and what you do, what languages are most beneficial to know. Well, and then the interesting thing, too, is Raiden's quest has a lot of Japanese names. In fact, so far, all the names we've used have been Japanese. I promise I wasn't just trying to make it seem like anime. Actually, the way that happened is Raiden was the first character who was named. because his name basically means lightning. And so we needed a theme for names, and it just ended up being that Japanese names was the theme. So that's why almost all the characters in Raiden's Quest have Japanese names. It's not just supposed to seem like anime, I promise. But yeah, that's that story there. Yeah. Some people can actually speak Spanish really well, and that's definitely a very helpful skill to have. I just can't. I can sort of function with it sometimes. I would love to learn French. I've picked up a little bit just watching French TV shows, but I don't speak it fluently or anything by any means. It's weird because I keep picking up bits and pieces from numerous different languages, but I only speak English fluently. I can communicate in bits and pieces from other languages. Alrighty, let's see. But yeah, I would love to learn French, mostly so I can watch French TV shows, because some of the shows I like seem to come out in French before they come out in English dub, which makes sense, but I want to watch them in French so I can see them faster. I had, honestly, I probably had 5 years too, but not all at once. So that's actually, this is basically the lower, the lighter coloration. So what I do with that too is because you can actually see all this darker coloration is contained within the lighter coloration. What I do here now is I actually take and select this area and invert that. So now we have this area is what we're selecting, and I do a new layer. Where's our pen tool? There we go. I take this darker color and I come in and I just outline the areas. Oops, what? Wait. Oh. We gotta immerse it. Did I not actually do that? There we go. And so then we'll make the lines where these colors have a distinction. And from there, we'll just fill it in again. Let's see. There are a lot of languages that have really cool sounds, and I've always found it interesting to hear the certain sounds that that different languages have. I've always found that interesting, and I actually like I've been lately pretty fond of Old Norse names. It depends on the story, though. So, like, you want to have if you're coming up with names for a story, you want them to be fitting for the story. So, like, because Raiden's Quest, like I said, it took on Japanese names, basically, at least for the wolves in the valley, but then we ended up expanding out from there. There are other names from different regions will sound different. So, like, I've done a lot of world building that won't necessarily show up right away, but, like, there's culture down to the south that's sort of based off ancient Egypt. They'll have much different sounding names than the wolves in the valley. There's a culture in the north that's based off Inuit, Norse, etc. sort of. They'll have different sounding names as well. It really just depends on the region, and that's something that's really fun to do when it comes to world building. It's one of my favorite parts of putting it all together, is coming up with the different regions and how they sound, and kind of giving each its own unique sort of sound and feel to it. I can't represent all countries in the world, unfortunately, without making it an absolutely huge world that we can never explore entirely. But I try to create at least some level of diversity, and to give it a little bit more of because, you know, in our world, we're used to diversity. People come from different cultures, people come from different backgrounds, and it influences how they act. It can influence how they look. It depends on like, the culture shines through, even if these people have moved, even if these people have come to the same region, their cultures will still shine through distinctly, and I want to try and reflect that in Raiden's quest by giving it a lot of diversity. So it's kind of an interesting thing to play with. Man, that does sound like a cool language, Salty Nova, one that's based off clicking noises. That would be interesting. Man, that would be very interesting. That'd be very interesting to try and learn to speak, too. Almost a little weird to learn to speak. I don't know if I could. It'd be a change for sure. No, why? Why is this happening? No, oh, it's up here again. It's this. It's this. Nope, it's not that. Darn it. Might be this. Possibly. Let's do that. But yeah, different cultures and stuff have always been fascinating to me. Especially as a writer. Oh, it's this. Okay. That's what's going on. There we go. Yeah, that's really cool. So this whole area up here is black as well. So we're just going to come in and fill in these lines. Here we go. And again, this is a different layer than the lighter gray. Either of the lighter grays. We'll probably combine them into one layer at the end, but for laying in the markings originally, it's a lot easier to do it this way. Definitely. Yeah, that would make it very complicated to pronounce things. Heck, it's hard to pronounce things in English, and I'm a native English speaker. Oh, gracious, yeah. It would be very interesting, though, that's for sure. No, dang it. Why? Why? Oh, yeah. Let's try this. This. Gotta fill in all those little areas that are questionably filled in or not. Oh, it's this, probably. There we go. So now all that's left to do is just go along these edges and fill in the area where it's a little bit, where it's not fully filled in. We might have to go through and soften the edges as well, because they might be kind of hard in places, depending on how the selection worked. But we will see. Let's come down here. You can be a little bit messy with this method as long as you're careful along the areas where it actually, where there's no selection border, like this. When you're up against the selection border, you can afford to be a bit messy. Go. Let's come over here, and again, it's going to be the same thing. Down here. Sometimes if you go over, you can just adjust a little bit. And then let's come over here. Here we go. We'll make sure we fill in this area too. Get some up there and down there. And then we'll probably want to go through, because I think some of these areas haven't entirely selected up to the edges on some of these places. So we'll probably want to make sure we do that as well. Here we go. And we'll come over here. And over here. There we go. Come down here and select, or color in that. And up here as well. Here we go. There we are. So that should do it. Probably? Yeah, I think so. So let's deselect. Let's come and look at this. Yeah, it did get pretty sharp here. So what I'm going to do is just come through. That's not going to work so well. I gotta shrink the blur tool first, I think. You know what I'm just gonna do? I'll maybe just come over and either do just a slight eraser along the edge. As you can see, it's very pixelated. That's just how this works sometimes when you use the selection like this. We'll just give it a little bit here. It's gonna let some of the lighter colors show through, but that's not super bad. Thank you. She's actually, I mentioned this earlier, but she's actually based off a Border Collie. So, again, not quite 100% wolf-like, but pretty close, and within the realm of canine possibility. A lot of the characters in this are based off other types of canines. So, not always 100% wolf, but within the, as far as markings go, they're all wolves, but their markings sometimes are more reminiscent of other canine species. I can't talk anymore, I'm sorry. But, so like we have everything from a character like Tsutanai, who's based off Border Collies and her look, sort of, to we have someone who's sort of based off an African wild dog. Sort of. The influence of the different markings is there, and you can see it. So all the characters usually, if they're not based off a normal wolf-like characters, they have some reason for, they have some other type of canine that inspired their markings in most cases. So let's come over here. That actually, oh yeah, that was okay, because that wasn't a, alright, let's make sure we get that in. I'm actually going to erase this tiny little thing in the corner, because that kind of broke the line. Let's make sure this is all filled out. Looks good. And over here. And up here. Oops. There we go. Yeah, I actually still really like African wild dogs. They're so uncommon. I think I first learned about them when I was playing the game Zoo Tycoon, because I used to really like that game. I used to be absolutely obsessed with the game. I still really like it. But, yeah, I learned about them there, and I always have really liked them since then. Let's make sure we get this kind of... There we go. Just to kind of smooth those edges. There we go. So, and some of it leaked down the eye a little bit. There we go. It's kind of like working with ink. It gets everywhere. But yeah, so this is Tsutanai. You will meet her in episode 1 as well. And, she looks a little bit lighter in coloration than in this picture. It's a little bit more broken up, I think. But probably kind of depends on the angle too. But yeah, I really like how her design turned out. So she's a good example to look at if we compare her to Iryoku. Despite the fact that their markings are different, we have two characters who are both wolves, but they're extremely distinct. And that's exactly what we're looking for in this. We're looking for characters that are going to be unique, easily identifiable, easily recognizable, and that will be easy to tell apart. So even though they have, like, they're the same species and everything, it shows a lot of that variation. And it should be one of those things where you're not just relying on markings to know who's who, in my opinion. So I'm really proud of how this turned out. You can see a lot of what I was mentioning about female versus male with, you can see the fur is much gentler, it's a lot smoother, it's a lot clumpier. The tail's still kind of fluffy. Thank you. Yeah, I really like how she turned out. She's got, again, smoother fur on her head. It's not nearly as spiked up as Iryoku's. Iryoku has a much more defined chin. His fur is a lot spikier. He's got a more defined ankle and elbow. Again, spikier fur, spikier fur, spikier fur. His ears are a lot sharper and more pointed. His eyes are also slightly more angled, which helps to add to kind of his slightly more tricksterish look. Of course, there's his his smirk. Iryoku also has an asymmetrical design, which helps give him a little bit more of a chaotic feel. it gives him a little bit more of a random feel, as does the very different nature of his markings here. Whereas Tsutanai has a symmetrical design that looks a little bit more, it looks less chaotic, it looks more orderly. So yeah, thank you guys. So yeah, I hope, did it actually, no, okay, that was just it rendering weird. It looked like the nose had a little bit of a problem for a second. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this. Does anybody have any last questions before I head off? Because I think I'm going to wrap up the stream here otherwise. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thank you guys for coming, and hopefully we can do this again sometime. I might even show you guys some of the animation if we get a chance to do that, if I can find a scene that doesn't have too many spoilers. That might be kind of hard to do, but we will see. And maybe next time, oh, I do have some additional designs I need to work on too, so we might look at some of those as well, in contrast between characters and stuff. Maybe I'll show you, I do have a pup character that I need to work some design for, so maybe we'll take a look at him at some point soon. Some of the other side characters perhaps too. I probably can do a lot of these references on camera, because these are basically, a lot of the purpose in making these references is so that I can send this off to Bella, and make sure she knows how to color them, because she's our colorist. Yeah, sorry, I saw that question earlier and then I kind of got lost. I got on something else and it got lost. Salty Nova asked, do I use a tablet to draw? Yes, I do. There is no way in heaven or earth I could do all this with a mouse. I know some people who are really, really good at using mice. I am not one of them. So yes, I have a Wacom Bamboo. I kind of want to upgrade it at some point, but for now it does very, very well. It's pretty good for, and it can do a lot for being a fairly cheap as far as tablets go. Aw, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it too. The streams are a little bit, sometimes they're a lot of talking, but if I don't do them super frequently, it's, it can be really nice. So maybe we'll start having like a midweek Raiden's Quest stream or something. I also want to start putting out more videos on this channel, because I haven't been putting out a lot. I just haven't had a lot of content to put out. But maybe I'll show some more of these refs in these streams. I can do some more Q&A. I can show concept art, progress videos and stuff. But yeah, I'll definitely try and get some more content out on this channel. So thank you guys all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And I hopefully will see you guys around. Don't forget to keep up on the, honestly, when it comes to checking for information, I would say the Tumblr and the DeviantArt are the most reliable. Even more reliable than the YouTube, because, like I said, YouTube I have to make a video. I don't always make videos out of everything that I have, and when I do, it takes a lot longer. So if you really want to be kept up to date on all of the small things I do, or a lot of the concept art pieces that I don't record myself doing, make sure that you check those out as well. Some of them come with a little bit of randomness. I also put most of the key pieces up on Instagram, and a lot of them up on Facebook as well. See you guys later. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, I might start doing some speed draws, or I might time-lapse stuff as well. So yeah, thank you guys for coming, and I will see you guys next time, but until then, this is Jay, over and out.